Hey, greetings from Afghanistan and welcome to this year's symposium. And for General Sloser, General McConville, who've commanded here before, I know that is a very familiar view for you both. And also understand that I have taken over your old sleeping quarters, but not the office. As we move to the new headquarters, apropos for this event, the cab commander now occupies that office. Well, Fort Campbell takes incredible pride in hosting this event, and I know that there's a great agenda in store over the next couple days. While I'd like to be speaking to you in person today, I know that you all understand that the 101st has always answered the nation's call, just as we are doing now.
But, just like the 101st, Army Aviation has always answered the same call, and I'll contend that Army Aviation will be even more critical in our Army's ability to deploy, fight, and win tomorrow than it is today. Last year, I spoke of the need to buy back capability within our aviation formations. In order to maintain our maneuver dominance, we need our aviation capability to operate at altitude, in high temperatures, and with a full packs, cargo, or weapons load. This is why the capability of solutions like ITEP and the CH-47 Foxtrot Block 2 are so critical. In the terms of my good friend Bill Gaylor, they will give our aviation formations the lethality and reach needed for future fights. The capabilities that the future vertical lift will bring to the table are equally important as our adversaries also become more sophisticated. And even though I've only been in theater for just a few weeks this time, I've already reconfirmed my original assessment of needing those capabilities now. As an Army, we can't afford to start and stop programs anymore, because at the end of the day, it's the soldiers on the ground that pay the ultimate price for any delays. However, I also want to make it clear that in addition to capability, we also need to look at Army Aviation's capacity. Both are critical in our ability to decisively fight and win. Now, as a division, we recently came out of our warfighter exercise, and one of the things that enabled us to be successful was the ability to mass a brigade combat team during one period of darkness at a time and location of our choosing. By doing so, we were able to solve several wicked tactical problems. First, we were able to mitigate the effects of opposing terrain and limited ground lines of communication. Second, we were also able to force the OP-4 to come out of his prepared positions and fight in a direction to which he was unprepared, which then presented us with a very target-rich environment. And finally, the speed at which we were able to execute operations enabled us to retain the initiative. Our success was driven by our ability to quickly mass sufficient combat power in the enemy's rear area or on his assailable flank. Without sufficient assets to lift a BCT, I assessed that we would have been merely an annoyance to the OP-4 commander and not necessarily made him change his course of action. However, moving a BCT's worth of combat power forced him to react in a manner for which he was unprepared. As the old adage goes, quantity has a quality all its own. So in our efforts to continually increase our capability, I'd ask that we remember that we also need capacity within Army Aviation in order for ground maneuver elements to decisively dominate our adversaries. It is a combination of both capability and capacity that gives our combatant commanders the options that they need.
Hey, in closing, I know that you have a great symposium ahead of you, and I am proud to serve alongside the greatest aviators in the world and the entire aviation enterprise that supports them. Air Assault and Army Strong. Hooah!